There are 197 countries in the world. These are the 156 countries that have joined China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI so far. Nearly 80% of all sovereign states. What exactly do they see in the BRI? This video took 30 days to research and produce, 18 minutes packed with insights to give you a clear, comprehensive understanding of what China's Belt and Road Initiative really is, what it has delivered, and what it means for China, for its partner countries, and for the world. You've likely heard headlines. Country X joins the Belt and Road. China invests in Port Y. A new railway opens in Country Z. China's high-speed rail goes global. But have you ever asked why launch such an ambitious, decades-long initiative? What real impact does it have on the world? What does it mean not just geopolitically, but economically and strategically for China itself? You might think this is abstract diplomacy, far removed from daily life. In reality, the BRI is reshaping the global economic order, influencing the products you buy, the way you live, the places you travel to, and even national security and long-term prosperity. This isn't rhetoric. The Belt and Road Initiative is the largest infrastructure development and economic cooperation framework the world has ever seen. Some call it the world's largest livelihood-oriented initiative, spanning over 150 countries and regions, home to roughly 75% of the world's population, and more than 60% of its energy resources, backed by over $1 trillion in Chinese investment and financing. So where did the BRI come from? Why did China launch it? And critically, what makes it work? How do other nations view it? Is it neo-imperialism or win-win cooperation? What has China gained? And what risks has it taken? In this video, we'll answer all these questions in one coherent, evidence-based narrative. What exactly is the Belt and Road Initiative? Let's start by clarifying the terminology. Belt and Road is an umbrella term. Specifically, it comprises two core components. The Belt refers to the Silk Road economic belt, a predominantly overland corridor, and the Road stands for the 21st century Maritime Silk Road, a primarily maritime route. Put simply, it's an overland economic corridor stretching across Eurasia, and a maritime counterpart, linking China's coastal ports to Southeast Asia, South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. A vital maritime artery extending all the way to Europe. So imagine the Belt and Road as a vast, integrated network, spanning Eurasia and Africa, an unprecedented web of economic connectivity, transportation infrastructure, and trade flows. This network goes far beyond railways, highways, and ports. It encompasses power grids, telecommunications, energy systems, financial cooperation, and cultural exchange. Even critically, the connections between people. Take, for example, what you may already know. China helped build the port of Gwadar in Pakistan and established the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. In Africa, China built the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, linking Ethiopia and Djibouti for the first time by rail. In Southeast Asia, the China-Laos Railway now connects Kunming in China with Vientiane, Laos fully operational. In Europe, the China-Europe Railway Express, such as freight services from Yiwu to Madrid, cuts transit time by nearly half compared to sea freight. These are not just a few roads. They represent China's collaborative effort with partner countries to build a new, globally integrated trade corridor. Why launch the Belt and Road Initiative? You might well ask, why has China invested such tremendous effort into this initiative? Is it about becoming the world's dominant power? Is it geopolitical expansion? Or, as some Western commentators claim, is it debt trap diplomacy? In fact, understanding the BRI requires two perspectives. First, China's own stage of development. The other is a fundamental shift in the global order. First, from China's domestic perspective. After the 2008 global financial crisis, China faced mounting pressure from industrial overcapacity in sectors such as steel, cement, power generation, and high-speed rail, where domestic demand had plateaued, yet technological capabilities remained world-class. So what next? The answer, go global, but not through isolated corporate ventures or market speculation. Rather, it requires coordinated national strategy, diplomatic negotiation, policy alignment, and infrastructure connectivity. Second, regional imbalances within China. The western inland regions have long lagged in development, and the Belt and Road Initiative directly links them westward to Central Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Take the China-Europe Railway Express. It departs from cities like Chongqing, Chengdu, Zhengzhou, and Yiwu, connecting them directly to Europe and catalyzing openness and growth across China's interior. Third, and often overlooked, China faces critical resource shortages, oil, natural gas, and iron ore, relying heavily on imports for these strategic inputs. Major suppliers include Central Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. The BRI secures and diversifies those vital supply corridors. Second, from the global perspective, after 2008, Western economies weakened significantly, accelerating global multipolarity, driving rapid growth across Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, where emerging markets urgently needed infrastructure investment to unlock growth. Yet, Western capital was retreating. IMF and World Bank lending processes were slow and came with stringent, often incompatible conditions. China, meanwhile, held vast foreign exchange reserves, an unmatched infrastructure, building capacity, and its enterprises stood ready to partner, filling a critical financing and execution gap. In short, this is not just China's strategic necessity. It is a transformative opportunity for dozens of countries worldwide. From a global perspective, many countries around the world still grapple with poverty and underdevelopment. Is it that they don't want prosperity? No, they simply lack the means. Some hegemonic powers prioritize their own wealth and actively resist others' development, or dismiss such efforts as unprofitable and therefore unworthy of support. So when a country steps forward, offering funding, technology, and opportunity, why wouldn't these nations seize it? Moreover, this is not exploitation. It's a comprehensive, mutually beneficial framework designed for shared success. So what has the Belt and Road Initiative actually delivered? The Belt and Road Initiative is far more than rhetoric. It's concrete action-building infrastructure across continents. Let's examine its tangible achievements. Infrastructure development. As an old Chinese saying goes, to get rich, build roads first. That principle lies at the very foundation of economic development. The most critical step. Chinese enterprises have built railways, highways, bridges, ports, power plants, and transmission grids across the globe. Take the China-Laos Railway, for example. Launched in 2021, it connects Kunming directly to Vientiane, A1000 plus kilometer modern rail link. The Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, the first African railway built to Chinese standards, is fully electrified. And the China-Europe Railway Express has operated over 70,000 trains through 2024, linking China with 25 European countries. Gwadar Port, a strategic node of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, sits on the shores of the Arabian Sea. Hambantota Port in Sri Lanka and Piraeus Port in Greece, both transformed by COSCO shipping into key Asia-Europe maritime hubs. Energy cooperation spans oil and gas pipelines, wind farms, solar parks, and projects like the China-Myanmar oil and gas pipeline. Middle Eastern oil and gas are shipped directly to China's southwestern region via Myanmar, bypassing the Strait of Malacca. The China-Russia East Route natural gas pipeline delivers natural gas directly from Siberia to China. China has made substantial investments in photovoltaic power plants across Central Asia and Africa, as well as substations to help alleviate chronic power shortages in these regions. Financial cooperation involves institutions such as China Construction Bank, the China Development Bank, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, IEB, and the Silk Road Fund, all providing critical project financing, people-to-people ties, and education, including reciprocal student exchanges, empower partner countries with cutting-edge knowledge and forward-looking ideas. Confucius Institutes, cultural exchanges, tourism partnerships, and vocational training programs, among many others, fostering genuine people. 2. People connectivity. The Digital Silk Road encompasses 5G, cloud computing, cross-border e-commerce, and digital payment systems, cornerstones of next-generation infrastructure. Chinese tech leaders like Huawei and Alibaba are key contributors to this ecosystem. By now, you've likely realized, the Belt and Road Initiative is far more than just building roads. It represents China's comprehensive alternative framework for globalization, one designed with weight and dive for the world. IT operates independently of Western dominance and does not hinge on the US dollar system. Instead, it's built on connectivity, infrastructure development, unimpeded trade, and deep policy coordination. This is Globalization 2.0. Chinese designed, yet globally owned and shared. So how do other countries around the world view this initiative? Does the Belt and Road have real challenges? Is the debt trap diplomacy narrative fact or fiction? Has China invested unwisely? What returns has it delivered? And what lies ahead for its future? The Belt and Road may sound like an economic term, but behind it lies an extraordinarily vast, deeply coordinated global cooperation network, and it's not a China-only endeavor. No single country, not even China, can unilaterally steer its course. It's more like a grand symphony inviting the world to develop together. So how does the Belt and Road Initiative actually work? Put simply, it rests on two complementary corridors. Silk Road Economic Belt, a land-based corridor stretching from China through Central and West Asia all the way to the Baltic Sea in Europe, and the 21st century Maritime Silk Road, a sea-based corridor running along China's southeast coast, across Southeast and South Asia, around Africa, and onward to Europe. You might ask, isn't this just a modern revival of the ancient Silk Road? In spirit, yes, it's where the name comes from. But in substance, it's fundamentally different. The ancient Silk Road relied on camels and caravans carrying spices, silk, and porcelain tangible goods. Today's Belt and Road moves high-speed rail, power grids, digital infrastructure, capital, institutions, and opportunities for sustainable development. It's no longer just about buying and selling goods. It's about exporting a model of development and a vision of connectivity to help partner countries grow prosperous and integrate into global value chains. So what exactly does China bring to the table? In one phrase, the Chinese approach. Let's look at some real-world examples. In Africa lies Ethiopia, a nation once defined by profound challenges. It faced acute electricity shortages and had virtually no industrial base. Then, in 2016, Chinese enterprises helped build Africa's first electrified national railway, the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, at 752 kilometers long. It links Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, with Djibouti's strategic port. Once operational, it slashed transport costs by 70%, cutting transit time from 1 week to just over a dozen hours. Over several years, China trained and certified over 3,000 local staff, enabling fully local, self-sustaining operations. This truly embodies China's philosophy: give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day, teach him to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. More importantly, it has boosted the country's exports, logistics, and employment, even spurring the growth of satellite towns and local processing plants. It has dramatically accelerated local economic development and physical and digital connectivity with the wider world. Next, consider Indonesia's Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway in Southeast Asia, the region's first high-speed rail line, built under Chinese leadership. From design and construction to rolling stock and signaling systems, all built to Chinese standards, with a top speed of 350 km per h. The journey from Jakarta to Bandung now takes under 1 hour. This is not technological showmanship. It reflects Indonesia's own initiative to modernize its national transport infrastructure. Because policymakers recognize that relying on aging roads and maritime routes can no longer keep pace with the demands of a modern economy. What does this reflect? China's proven capacity to export world-class infrastructure expertise and its genuine commitment to win-win cooperation with partner countries. It's not about turning you into Suica market, it's about co-creating the rules, systems, and opportunities of the fight global market together. So what we see in the Belt and Road Initiative is not a slogan, not political rhetoric, but a tangible pathway reshaping the economic destiny of nations. It is not a road of extraction, but of contribution, a road rooted in mutual benefit, shared growth, and long-term partnership. It is not a rehash of colonialism, but a new paradigm grounded in peaceful development, inclusive governance, and win-win cooperation. Some call the Belt and Road Initiative one of the most consequential global development initiatives of the 21st century, and we firmly believe that assessment is well-founded. That said, we also acknowledge that as the BRI enters its next phase, it faces real-world challenges, such as political transitions in some partner countries. Some projects have faced pushback, particularly over concerns about debt sustainability. Certain Western commentators have labeled Chinese investment a debt trap diplomacy, a diplomatic narrative, not an economic reality. And some countries, long reluctant to see China's rise, view China's development assistance with deep discomfort, even suspicion. But let's examine these claims critically. Do they hold up? First, the term debt trap was coined by a UK-based think tank. Yet it lacks any empirical evidence to substantiate it. In fact, World Bank data shows precisely the opposite. China's lending rates to Belt and Road partner countries are significantly lower and far more concessional than those offered by Western capital markets. Moreover, during the pandemic, China proactively suspended or restructured debt repayments, earning widespread appreciation from partner nations. Across Africa, numerous governments have publicly affirmed it is not Chinese loans, but decades of high-interest borrowing from Western financial institutions, using their own natural resources as collateral that have driven them into debt distress. In Asia, Belt and Road financed railways, highways, and ports have unlocked sea access for landlocked nations, giving them, for the first time, the chance to integrate into global markets. This isn't control, it's capacity building. After all, if a country truly sought to colonize another, it wouldn't build roads, bridges, schools, or hospitals. It would extract, not invest. Recall Western colonialism, burning villages, seizing land, mining minerals, clear-cutting forests and plundering resources, and enslaving populations, leaving behind ruins, cultural rupture, and shattered social foundations. China's approach is fundamentally different. The railways China builds belong entirely to the host countries. The hydropower stations China helped build serve local communities directly. China's scholarships for African students, power infrastructure, support for Pakistan, and agricultural technology transferred to Central Asia, all delivered without political conditionality or coercive clauses. Many countries call this equal partnership, a new model of international relations grounded in mutual respect, not hierarchy. So the Belt and Road Initiative isn't about building a new hegemony. It's about helping the world rediscover what genuine cooperation truly means. Of course, some ask, why is China doing this? Why build roads for others? Don't we still have our own development challenges to address? At its core, it's not about try whether to help, but about try what kind of development path we choose to pursue. What's the West's core logic behind globalization? To shift manufacturing to developing countries, cutting costs, capturing profits, while retaining tight control over technology, standards, and financial systems, thus shaping the rules of the global economy. China's Belt and Road Initiative isn't about exporting industrial overcapacity. It's about co-building infrastructure, enhancing connectivity, and sharing opportunities for growth. We aim to develop alongside neighboring countries, pursuing mutual benefit, win-win outcomes, and shared prosperity. That may sound idealistic, but ask the people in countries that have genuinely benefited. They'll tell you that the road China built let them bring their farm produce to city markets. For the first time, that power plant ended nightly blackouts. That railway gave their university graduates their first chance to work across borders. China's development has never been built on suppressing others, but on its own hard work, a peaceful environment, and the tireless efforts of its people. We believe that only when the world prospers can China advance further. And as China develops further, it can help more countries overcome poverty and injustice. Looking back over the past 12 years, the Belt and Road Initiative is far more than just a policy blueprint. It is China's calling card to the world, demonstrating the vision of a responsible global power and embodying the millennia-old Chinese civilizational ideal of all under heaven. China has never cast itself as a savior, but it is ready to be the one who lights the way. Yes, China does not need to be the center of the world, but it is committed to being a bridge connecting nations. We may not command the world's most powerful navy, but we are willing to lay steel rails and roads to help more countries emerge from isolation and reach beyond mountains and seas. China does not control the global media narrative, but it chooses action over rhetoric to show hope, concretely and consistently. The Belt and Road is more than a line on the map. It is a choice of our time, a beacon of hope for developing countries, and a pathway toward peace and cooperation. And when we look back at history, this distinction becomes unmistakably clear. Western globalization was the globalization of capital, a global game centered on profit. China's Belt and Road, by contrast, is the globalization of development, a tangible, values-driven effort aimed at shared human well-being. Western colonialism arrived with gunboats, enslavement, plunder, and bloodshed. With hegemony, China's Belt and Road arrives with engineers, teachers, doctors, and builders. This fundamental difference in worldview ensures that our path forward will remain distinct. China has never sought to build a new hegemony, but rather to transcend the outdated either-or mindset and forge a truly pluralistic, fair, and dignified world order. So, the future of the Belt and Road Initiative is far more than a transportation network. It's a blueprint for a community with a shared future for mankind. If this vision resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video so more people can understand the Belt and Road Initiative, not as it's often misrepresented, but as it truly is, a catalyst for a better, more inclusive future. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.